Hello, everyone. Welcome to this growth lab on this happy little Thursday in July. My name is Danielle, and I am our Sales and Marketing Communications Manager at Leverage Lab. And I am very excited to welcome you all to our July session of the Growth Lab, Data-Driven Profits, Clean Rooms, Retail Media Networks. I'll introduce our team today. Very excited to introduce you all to our newest Leverage Lab team member. Ken Vien is the Director of Solutions Engineering here at Leverage Lab. And Ken comes to us with a rich analytics background with stalwart brands like CVS, Panera Bread, Kia Motors. So he's going to be able to talk to us a little bit about the commercial side against the B2B side. I'll go ahead and kick it to you.
Great. Very quickly, just for those of you who don't know who we are Leverage Lab, and we are a first-party data revenue partner to B2B media brands, B2C media brands, and brand companies. Our focus with B2B media and B2C media is really around generating new revenue through rich audience data. And we bring the whole solution. We bring first-party data infrastructure, which sometimes is very necessary to get your house in order, data house in order. We bring pre-built first-party data-centric campaign solutions, sales training and enablement, reporting and analytics. We help get you into revenue fast. So I'm very excited to talk about our topic today. John, are you going to take us through the agenda?
Yeah, that'd be great. Welcome, everyone. It's great. This is our seventh webinar. It's hard to believe. And we decided in the second half, we're going to chug along because of reception and keep going. And so I'll run through the agenda and then some opening thoughts and we'll get going. Retail media networks, past, present, and future. What does that mean? And for those of us who have been around B2B a long time, the whole idea, we know what media is and we kind of know where networks are, but the word retail, where did that come from? And how is it applicable to B2B? And think for a second, think of Amazon, Walmart, Target, although Target doesn't have a good reputation, our colleague Ken pointed out to me, but sorry about that, Ken. But so what does that mean? We're going to cover that. And then B2B, written in the same font of, retail media networks, that's how they come together. And it's kind of cute, written in the same font to point to their importance. Then the data clean rooms, everybody's talking about data clean rooms and what does it mean? Is that even the right term, frankly? But then Emery and Ken will talk about that. And then the enterprise data infrastructure as a foundation and what foundational tool, what does that really mean? So I think it's going to be really interesting. I believe it's going to be new information for most people attending this webinar. We also know with this particular webinar, we've penetrated the C-suite more than any in our audiences for this, and I'm personally appreciative of that because I think it's the importance of knowing in advance what the direction your company is going to go as a B2B company mainly or a B2C. And as you heard me in the past, it's important for people in the C-suite to understand and not just throw the technology questions to the people in their tech group or guru to understand what that means. And I think the other thing role that I play in these webinars is, we kid about it, but maybe put a little bit of scare in people in the C-suite saying, there's certain things you can miss and your company will be okay, but there's certain things in movements you can't miss. And I'm pretty convinced this whole idea of retail media networks is something that B2B and B2B companies can't miss. It's too important. And that's why it's important to understand it now. And I'm very, I was very surprised to, read about it and understand it. And when we go through and Emery and Ken go through, there is a connection to what the Walmarts of the world are doing, and then what the B2B and B2C companies should do, because it's all a marketplace. And the only difference is they concentrate on the products you buy. Media companies concentrate on the content that you consume, but it's still the same signal. And you still have to deliver that person to a potential seller. So with that, Anne-Marie, let's have some fun. It's a new topic, and we got a lot of new people in the audience. And Ken, welcome to Leverage Lab. It's been a real joy working with you the last couple of weeks, and we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, let's do it. Ken, take it away.
All right. I'm excited to join Leverage Lab, and thank you for having me here. Before I even talk about retail media history here, just want to give a definition of if we look up Wikimedia, what is retail media? And it's defined as marketing to consumer at or near their point of purchase or point of choice between competing brand and products. Gosh, I like to put it into more of a really simple. It's basically the ability to compete for the consumer attention to get our products in front of them during their shopping journey. And if we look at, before we even get into kind of the evolution of retail media, I like to bring us back to kind of the marketing 101. What is our 4 Ps? It's that price, products, placement, and promotion. And I think what's really driving the whole retail media is really our placement and promotion. And here's why. If we look at the way when we first started, it started out with brick and mortar. If you can remember, walk into the store, we have a booth, right? And that's retail media, right? Our way of our brand, having a booth and getting the consumer to see our products. Then we looking at the shelf, how can we have a bigger shelf so that we are competing better with our consumers so that they can see our products better? Then we're talking about new innovation in the store where, I don't know if you remember seeing, or even now, right? Within the shelf, you see these things this big sign that's sticking out. It's just our way of trying to get more attention from the consumer because, hey, something is sticking out and it's better to get your attention than something that's in the shelf. Even new introduction of new ways in the store, you get a pallet right in front of the walkway in the store. And so it's just different ways in which we were competing for attention for the products. And then you get the evolution of print, where we have new ways in which we can get attention of the buyer. And print started out with circular, where you walk in and you get these circular, right? And it shows, feature your products before you even start shopping. And then we start getting into a new placement, right? Now people can start to buy from the phone, if you remember. You go from an in-store to buying from the phone, and guess what came out of there was the catalog. And the catalog become another channel in which retail allow you to place your products and your brand so that the consumer can see at front and center. Then came email, another channel in which we can talk to our consumer. And retail is they have the ability to collect all these data and all these email. And so what they're doing is they're going to the brand and allowing the brand to communicate to the consumer directly. And email is just another channel because they have that data. Then another evolution came into place. Guess what? E-commerce came in. Now you can buy it online. And so then online become another place in which retail allow us to put our products front and center. But it's really interesting in that when e-commerce came, the very first, I don't know if you remember, or maybe this can be a homework for those who are curious, who's the first company that did the very first digital ad online? And it was AT&T that placed their very first ad in 1994. And that was the evolution of a digital advertising. That was the beginning of it. And with retail media, it's really about now is it's advertising in the store, right? And so what the retailer does is, Amazon as an example, their marketplace or their e-commerce is the place where you can do placement on there. It's allow you to, and the easiest way to thinking about the digital ad is it's just a replacement of an end cap. If you think about going to the store, before you walk into the aisle of health, the end cap is where we trying to capture your attention before you even go into that aisle, right? And so if you think about the way Amazon does today is before I even start to look for my products, Amazon is trying to show me that products right away, front and center. And it's just based on your behavior, based on how you search, based on, again, coming back to having the data about the customer, because the retailer have those data, it allowed them to give us the ability to put our brand and our product front and center with the where the consumer is. If we can go next to the next slide. So as you can see, it started out, in 2012, where Amazon now and eBay are kind of the first inception. Now you have all these early adopter that's starting to coming in, but I would say Walmart is really catching up. You probably can hear in the news, how much money they were able to even generate. I believe Group M estimate have shown it was like $2 billion in 2021 and continue to grow exponentially there. And then you have kind of the, new other that's starting to come in. The drugstore are doing it because they have the power. And I think ultimately what really come down to that is what these retailers have seen is that, well, I have the data, the power of the data. If you think about the CVS of the world or the Walgreens of the world, that's why they're joining in, is because, well, I have all the customer data here and I can really utilize that customer data to my advantage and help better understand and reach the consumer better. And I think it's really come down to, and you can see here why some of the name really showing up and really popping out here is because of the data that they have, the data they have been managing that allow them to start becoming a big player in this space.
Amazing.
I'll hand it over to Anne-Marie to continue the conversation here.
Right. So now what we're going to talk about, we mentioned that retail media networks and B2B media are kind of written in the same font. Well, written in the same font is a fun TikTok slang meme out there that really is in reference to similarity. There's so much similarity between what Ken just described as the strengths of the retail media network in the data that they collect, the behaviors, the interests, the purchase, the transactions. All of those points of data are captured at the user level and harvested to create real insight about you as a shopper. So as you're using things like Amazon or Wayfair or any of these new retail media networks, it will soon start to change a bit in that there's less contextual placement and more personal placement. I could be looking at I just bought a fantastic pair of shiny silver sneakers the other day from Zappos, and it was, showing me ads for something that was completely unrelated to the product that I was actually looking at. So there's this great opportunity for retail media networks to harvest and leverage that data to create better advertising experiences at a personalized level. Sound familiar? We're talking about these same things in the B2B and the B2C media space. Measurement, this is where and as we get into the topic of data clean rooms, you'll see that there's an amazing opportunity to kind of close the loop as it relates to measurement and attribution for B2B media, similar to what's happening in retail media. So Amazon, every purchase that's made in Amazon is completely known within Amazon. So all of the advertising, all of the points of, points of engagement that are happening within the Amazon ecosystem are being leveraged to, create that best opportunity to, gain that transaction, to make that conversion. The same is really possible within B2B. The closing of the loop is bringing the data from your customer into the environment so that we can have that kind of closed loop measurement and attribution. Content, it's still a content play, content or products, content or articles. Regardless, in the buyer's journey for B2B and in the buyer's journey for consumer, it's all about learning what you need to know about the products that you're going to consume, whether that's a long form educational learning process or a list of specifications and a bunch of customer ratings. It's still education, and it is a content story. So on the other side of our, written in the same font visual here, are relationships and the customer journey. Just like I was explaining, the customer journey, whether it's a B2B, long-term customer journey where we've got multiple buyers involved in that process, we've got a lot of learning and a lot of education that has to happen. All of that can still be contained within the B2B media ecosystem. That's really the strength that we have in our marketplaces, is being that really rich influence of education and, bringing the buyers and sellers together. So the relationships that happen in our B2B media space are really just as rich as what, there are people who are just absolutely dyed in the wool Amazon shoppers. There are people who are 100% Instacart shoppers and never shop their groceries any other way. The relationship with that online marketplace is no different than the relationship with this B2B media marketplace and community. Great. So our next topic, data clean rooms. This I just kind of referenced as a last mile. What I mean by that and what a data clean room is. And I think, John, you kind of referenced, is that even the right word these days? But a data clean room environment is a really secure and encrypted environment where partners can bring their data together. And what they mean by that is that we're creating this collaboration that allows us to know more about our customers through the eyes of a partner. So think about the B2B media space. It's a way for us to partner more deeply with the large advertisers who are putting a lot of money, time, energy into the relationship with us on a much deeper level in a really secure and fully, uncompromised environment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marie, one of the things we talked about is there's a lot of terms that are thrown around, and especially the last 3, 4, 5 years around data, and a lot of them are not correct. This is one of the ones I think is most misunderstood in people I talk to, because for those of us who would think of a clean room, it conjures up like bunny suits and semiconductors and all of that. And I swear there's a group of people that name things like this in a room somewhere because they sound cool. Let's call it a clean room, as opposed to let's call it an attribution room or a segmentation room, right? Let's call it a clean room. But the fact is, and I hear it thrown out all the time, and I'd say the majority of the time, the person speaking is well intended, but it's not what they're talking about. So that's why I think this particular slide is really relevant, because I just think that very highly either overused or misunderstood term.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. The Winterberry Group is sort of a technology, consultancy, and they just published a study not too long ago, a few months ago, I think, that talked about sort of this emerging, maybe new term for what a data clean room does, called collaboration platforms, data collaboration platforms, because really that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. It conjures up like, the semiconductor clean room environment, but really all we're talking about is a platform that creates an opportunity to collaborate with data in a really, really secure environment where the data is never compromised. All you gain is insight and value. And the little image that we have here is showing that you might have data coming from, a publisher. This is data about my audience. There's things in this data that describe who these people are, what they do from a day-to-day basis in my ecosystem, how they behave, things they're interested in, behaviors that they exhibit. I can put this into the clean room environment without ever using any PII or exposing any PII to a partner, which would be the data set from, party B. They have a contractual agreement between them that says, this is the intent, this is what we're here to do.
Right.
And then that data clean room is really just a technology collaboration platform. It's a data collaboration platform.
And can I also add to that, especially the people I talk to at the C-suite about all of this, repeating the phrase, the data is never compromised. And I don't blame them. I was a CEO of numerous B2B companies, and to take my data, my jewels, and give it to someone else, with all the stuff that's going on, technology and CrowdStrike, whatever it is, but it's not compromised. It's protected. And and companies are sworn to this by regulations, and I won't belabor it, but that's an important point. It's not compromised.
Yeah, it really is an important point. So when we think about what are the use cases for that? Why would somebody want to enter into that kind of a relationship? Well, it benefits both parts of the business or both businesses, sometimes equally. But for the advertiser, the primary use cases are really around attribution, segmentation, better campaign analytics, a deeper, richer form of analysis to get deeper, richer insight, maybe around product development opportunities or unseen insights that they would never be able to get from their ecosystem. So, let's talk about those use cases a little bit more discreetly here. So let's talk about the idea of segmentation and targeting. In our industry, in the B2B and B2C media industries, we know a lot about the people in our ecosystem. And sometimes the things that we know are really critical insights that our advertisers want to get to, but we don't necessarily always surface data in a way or surface audience segmentation in a way that delivers that kind of insight. It's not that we want to hold it or withhold it. It's just that our product mix, the way that we offer our solutions, doesn't really allow for it. So this is a way for a brand to come and sort of dig a little deeper into our data set to understand maybe really high value audience segments that really speak to their business that might be available with us. So it's just a way for them to maybe get a better targeting methodology. It's also a way for us to add maybe enrichment or new points of data to data that our customers have. The things that happen within our ecosystem are really valuable for our brand partners. What of interest that, with the content of interest of our users and our audiences, the types of forms of content that they consume, how they engage, their preferences. These are all things that can make the marketing with our brand partners that much more effective and efficient. And then, if we're bringing outcomes to the table, our brand partners are able to bring some of the transactional data and things that they're using to analyze. It'll help them better understand maybe what they need to do in order to drive an outcome. We hear about it all the time in our business. We try to deliver insights through our campaign programs and reporting that show that, to get to that lead, it took 17 steps and 17 different engagements to drive that outcome. We should get credit for all of that, but that also holds a lot of value for our advertising partners. And then attribution and measurement is really that closed loop. If we could know that, I'm just going to use travel as an example. So in a world of travel agents, if we could know that every single travel agent was actually worth 100x what money that's spent for consumers to drive the same behavior, which is booking travel, that's a really important insight. And that's where this attribution and this data clean room opportunity really brings some value. If you're selling large equipment, if you could really know definitively that the campaign programs that you did led to an outcome around a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment, that's a really valuable insight. And that can be had here through attribution and improved measurements. And then lastly, more for the B2B side of the business, but there's opportunities for us to monetize this service at a really high level. You know, brands are out there asking for it, and they know that it's valuable, and they know they're asking for something significant. So this is an opportunity for us to monetize a new service, a new capability, and even the insights and reporting that come from this capability can be monetized. And then obviously there's, you know, ways to, you know, leverage what we learn in premium ad inventory, you know, on our sites, off our sites, and potentially even drive new insights that will give us the opportunity to create new products and new capabilities. So that's really kind of more the B2B media side of the opportunity. All right. So we have yeah, we have 5 minutes. I think, you know, we can go through our takeaways. And then if we have any questions from the audience, we're obviously happy to take those. You can just pop them in the chat. But Don, do you want to go through all of our takeaways from the webinar today?
Yeah, I learned a couple of things. The whole idea, if it's in the same font, then it's really important. I didn't, when we first saw the presentation, I said, what the heck does that mean? But B2B media and retail media networks are in the same font, which is a really cool TikTok way of saying that they both have their stature and they are very similar. And everything Anne-Marie and Ken said earlier, and I think it's really important. When I said earlier, like, don't miss this one, my fear is that if media companies don't adopt this and go towards this, then someone else is going to do it. And I've seen it in my career before, and I've used this example back a long time ago when our customers in B2B launched their own websites. There was a huge dip in advertising with the publisher because we became marginalized, because they really believed they could find their customers and their new customers with their own sites. You fast forward 20 years, if other people get involved in this level of retail media networks and they happen to be the people that we serve, then we're marginalized again. So that's something I think is really important to take away from that. The second is, get your data house in order. You know, it's all varying. And I talk to a lot of media companies, and some are better than others, but everyone has to get their house in order to take advantage of any of these things. So why would I do that? It's going to cost me money. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little money to get your house in order, but the potential revenue coming in will swamp that. So, you know, it's important to look at it that way. I'll also put in a little plug for the people who run audiences in B2B, especially to the C-suite. Spend some money, support them with budgets. I mean, you know, what we're saying to them basically is what you grow, which is our audience, which is a feeder for everything else we do, every revenue opportunity, every attendee, you know, that's the most important part of the company. Oh, but by the way, do it on a shoestring, because I don't spend a lot of money for those type of things. I'm telling you, that's a mistake. Get the audience budgets up to where they should be, and you'll get payoff from there. Then the data cleaning rooms and new opportunities we talk about, and challenging old ways of thinking, that's part of that is funding audiences the way they should be. And then the final, collaboration for fun and profit. That sounds like something I've heard someplace else, but fun and profit. Look, I have a cold capitalist heart. I love to have fun. I like to make money, and I like to make profit. And this is a good way of doing it. So before we go and open up the questions, I just want to give everyone a little bit of quick peek. If you think we've challenged you here, the webinar that we have coming up in August, the theme is B2B media having an identity crisis? Who the hell really are we? And I think this is the time to do it, as especially with the leadership of media companies. Let's ask that question: who are we? Are we content producers? Are we content and audience providers? Or some, I keep pushing technology, but some of media companies are starting to think of themselves as technology providers. And they're doing a lot of this technology in-house and building it. Why the hell would you do that? So it's going to be a really fascinating, I think, discussion next month. But that's a little heads up to what's coming up. And then I'll hand it back over to Danielle and see if there's any questions.
Thanks, John. I feel like that was some really good takeaways. We really appreciate your insight into this topic. So there were 2 questions that were actually sent before the webinar, and it's one for each of the sections. So the question is, what's the first step for B2B media to actually move into this retail model? Like, what should they do? How do they go there? Ken, Anne Marie?
Yeah, I think if you look at the way all these retail media network, the Walmart of the world, or even the Amazon, or even the CVS, or all these different brand, Best Buy as an example too. It's like, I have my customer data, my audience data, and how can I make my most valuable asset become the asset that's going to produce result for me? And in your case, it's really how can you utilize that audience as a way to generate the revenue for you? And that's how retail media networks are winning today, is managing their audience in the way and enriching their audience in a way so that they can propagate those audience out to their advertiser or the brand in this case here, so that they can better understand who are all the audience that you have, so that the brand can interact with. And by the way, when they interact with the brand, you have the data to tell them what those interactions are and what is the result of those interactions. And it's really powerful, giving that whole entire closed loop of from when the interaction happened to when the engagement and the outcome. And so a lot of time, being able to kind of see that full picture and bringing all that together is why retail media is winning in this space, because other cannot do the way they do. And it's because they have the audience data and they have it all in one place, that they're able to provide those type of insights and better targeting.
Perfect. That actually gets to the second question. So how do we get the audience insights and that transactional insight? So the travel example, how do we get Expedia to come to the table and get into a data clean room with us? Like who builds the clean room? Who says, let's start this clean room?
Yeah. Well, most of the time it's brand driven. So the brands are making the ask. They are coming to many brands have a very sophisticated approach to how they think about spending their dollars, and they want to have attribution, aka transactional proof that the dollars that they're spending are actually delivering them value. They hold the transactions, we hold the engagement. So the brands are coming to us saying, I want to get deeper and richer in this relationship with you so that I can really see the impact that you're driving for me. And when you think about it in those terms, that feels like a really reasonable ask. It's not like they're asking to take all of your audience data. They just want some proof points to know that when they spend money with you, that it's actually driving value. So the brands are the ones that are asking. The clean room environments, there are many technologies out there that when it first came out, like a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it was very expensive and there were very few vendors that could provide that kind of solution. It's becoming much more reasonably priced. There are many vendors for data collaboration. So it is achievable. It is an opportunity. And I'm actually having a call with one of our customers tomorrow to talk about the opportunity within their environment. So it's real. So we need to think about how we get there. First and foremost, get the data house in order, because you cannot build collaboration if your data is sitting all over the place in different silos. So,
and if I can add,
Go ahead.
sorry, if I can add, Amazon is known as the gold star in retail media network today. And I can confidently, just joining Leverage Live for not too long, I'm so excited with the company that if you want to be the next Amazon in retail media, come talk to us. We have solution for you.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end it there.
Even I can't top that, so we're good.
Well, as we say on our webinar series, we won't solve all your problems, but we won't waste your time. So we'll go ahead and end here. We are very excited to see you all next month to talk about this identity crisis.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Enjoy your day.
Bye.